There has been all this talk about how the Trump administration from his first term till now have been using the office of the White House to enrich themselves. And the new term that white people have called it, the hot term, the hot buzzword is grifting. You want me to tell you what us black folks and the hood folks been calling shit like that for years, Claire? We've been calling it crooked. Your ass is fucking crooked. And this is the latest in Trump's schemes. He's about to do a damn cell phone company, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this informed information.
Joining us now is editor-in-chief of The Verge, Ilay Patel. All right, so is this real? I mean, it seems real.
No, I don't think it's real. You can't press release past your way. You can't press release your way past the reality of shipping hardware on a phone network. And you certainly can't press release your way past the reality of operating a phone network. So I think what we have here is a lot of bluster over what amounts to a mobile virtual network operator, an MVNO, a rebrand of T-Mobile's network, and what will almost certainly be a skinned Chinese Android phone. I think it's important to say very obviously that that's what's going to happen here. Like so many things in Trump world, it's important to carefully parse what they're actually saying. The only thing they're specifically claiming that will happen in the United States is the call center will be in St. Louis. Eric Trump today, I think on the Benny Johnson show, said eventually all the phones will be made in America. That's a long event. Yeah, there's two things they're claiming on the website. First, you can bring your own phone to the network, which is really, I think, probably what they're assuming most people will do. You already have a phone, you can get it off your carrier. You can pay an exorbitant amount of money for the service they are offering. It's $47.45, $47.45 in reference to the presidencies. That is so much more expensive than any other prepaid service. You can go to Mint Mobile today and get that same service for $15. You can go to any of the big carriers prepaid.
I've parsed those Ryan Reynolds commercials because I think he's highly effective. But
it's also handsome.
But if you want to pay full freight for Visible from Verizon.
But they say that you will get unlimited data. They say it will offer free texts and calls and unlimited data for that price point. I mean, that would be a steal on the market if it's true, right?
Once again, you got to parse it. So that unlimited data, like everyone else's unlimited data, is only 20 gigabytes of unlimited data, and then they throttle your speeds. If you go and pay full freight from Visible or Cricket or Metro, which are the prepaid carriers from the big three, you're going to be paying $35 a month for more data before it gets throttled.
Claire, nothing but more grift, crookedness from the office of the White House. This will be ran by his son, but it's still tied to the Trump organization. And if you follow any of the grift that Trump has used to enrich his name, he had those gold-plated shoes that were overpriced, manufactured cross seas. He's promised that these phones would be manufactured here. And like the expert clearly said, that is impossible. He's going to be charging $499 for the gold-plated phone that's not even going to be real gold. It's going to be a piece of shit. And then he's overpricing just to use the software that is going to run this whole organization. And the question that a lot of people have, Claire, that I will clarify after you go is, isn't there supposed to be rules and regulations against presidents using their influence to make money? I will answer that after we get a reply from what Claire just thinks about the next latest. I always say Trump is nothing but a master of the pyramid scheme. The latest pyramid scheme from the Trump administration to take pennies from his poor, mouth-breathing, one tooth hanging from a mountain voters that are already broke. He's taking whatever little money they got left. Floor is yours, Claire.
He's so obsessed with cheap fucking gold-plated shit. It's so, gold. It's gold. It's so he's so fucking tacky to start. Like, he's just such a, he loves that, like, New York mob boss fucking look, and he just doesn't have it, and it doesn't look good on him. And honestly, just pick a different aesthetic. Anyway, on top of that, what a scam. He is also no doubt going to, I mean, what's the real motive here? We have to think a little bit deeper, I think, because why are you releasing your own cell phone? And what data might you be able to collect
One reason is, do you remember there was a government program put in place to help people in the rural areas and poor people have a phone, and they start calling it the Obama phone? And you know how Trump loves to trample on any legacy that Obama has had. So that could possibly be one motivation. And the other
Right.
motivation, I'll let Claire finish, is with what Elon Musk did in getting all this data on people, he can easily know who he can go target to try to push these phones to. Floor is yours again, Claire.
Mm. It's hard to even tell, like, whether it's money, whether it's ego, or whether it's even shadier, like doing dealings for other countries that's motivating this guy. By this guy, I mean, or fucking shame of a president, waste of a president. But I think this could be all three. Who knows what? I mean, I can't help but feel like there's some weird shit going on with data there. Like, why do you need your whole own brand of phones? And is the stuff that goes on those phones actually going to be as private as, I mean, nothing really is these days. There's government surveillance wherever. Um, that's why just don't be a bad person and do bad shit and you'll be fine. That's what I try to live by. I'm like, well, I mean, they're probably already listening. I don't know. But either way, why I would never buy a Trump phone and trust that anything I'm doing is not being sent up to Papa Trump through Eric, or I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird. It could be a money grab, but I also just feel like it's why phones? Why cell phones? Why use the one thing that we carry on us everywhere and that we use to connect with everyone?
Well, one thing that a lot of people want to know beyond what his purpose is, and I can tell you one of the purposes is always to make money, and
Right,
probably
right,
something more nefarious. So it's probably a dual purpose for him.
right.
But people always want to know, and they hear about the Emoluments Clause that is supposed to prevent presidents from basically grifting and being crooked. Well, let me read to people about that so that you can kind of have an idea of what's going on here and why it seems like nothing has happened. The Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, you Constitution loving MFers that somehow or another you get casually non-cognizant of the Constitution when it's something you don't like. It says presidents and government officials can't get money, gifts, or special favors from foreign countries, which would include that big ass airplane, their own government, unless Congress says it's okay. Well, to that airplane, I guess Congress is just going to, well, they haven't officially said anything, but we'll get back to that in a minute. How does this connect to Trump? When Donald Trump was president, he still owned businesses, which you're not supposed to do, like hotels and golf clubs.
Mhm.
Foreign governments and special groups paid to stay at his hotel. People believe Trump used his role as president to promote and profit from these businesses. That's not a believe, that's the truth. Saudi officials and other foreign leaders stayed at the hotel, paid the US government, and we've just seen them give them a damn plane. Saudi Arabia, ladies and gentlemen, which has normally been our enemy and which helps support Iran, where y'all gonna go? Next thing. So why didn't the Emoluments Clause stop him? People did try to sue Trump using the Emoluments Clause, but the lawsuits were mostly thrown out of the court, not because he was proven innocent, but because the judges said the people suing didn't have the right to sue because it wasn't Congress, or they said Congress has to handle it. So that's why nothing happened, because we've had a Republican Congress, ladies and gentlemen. What about Trump's family and cell phone company? Now he's out of office. Well, he's currently back in office. He's launching a cell phone company, Patriot Mobile, and another one. I don't think he's going to call this one Patriot Mobile, but it's seen basically as him enriching himself again. And last thing on that, ladies and gentlemen, full summary, the Emoluments Clause needs clearer law around it. So that's how some lawyers are able to weasel out of taking it on, but most presidents have never even attempted it. Congress could pass rules that make it illegal completely for presidents to keep running businesses while in office. Voters can also push for stronger ethics laws. In summary, we do have this in the Constitution, but it's going to take a Congress that is opposing the president to get anything done. It's going to take you, the people, voting to say you don't like this grift and crookedness. Floor is yours for the last word, Claire.
I hate that he figured out how hard it actually is to stop a president from doing these things if they want to break the rules.
Mhm.
Because even the worst presidents in our history have still respected the Constitution so much and respected the will of the people so much that they would never even touch any of this shit. But
Right.
Trump he's such a narcissist that he is doing what no other president before has ever done. And he is truly capitalizing on the position for how he can financially and personally benefit from it. And I'm sure that many presidents have done this in small ways over the history of our country, but it is brazen the way that it's bold and it's gross, and he's not even trying to hide it anymore.
That's
Accepting
because the
gifts,
American people keep letting them get away with it, as well as
they
the
empower it.
Republicans. If
They're like, "Yeah,
Democrats
well,
were,
since I
if,
support you."
if Democrats were in office, we would have been impeached this person and got his ass up out of there. And I can tell y'all right now, if I ever become president, I'm going to do this shit too. But I'm going to give my money to impoverished communities, to homeless funds, to veterans funds. I will enrich the office of the White House too, but I'm going to give the money to places where it's needed. And this is why a lot of us Democrats always say, stop telling us that there's no money running around here to help with the problems we have, when we keep seeing the president grift and make millions and billions, and yet you people keep voting for this bullshit and swear them down. We don't have money to do anything because of the damn deficit. Last word goes to you, Claire, before we get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely stand on the side of Congress, president, all the above. Y'all shouldn't benefit from your position. You are a servant to the public.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if there were like ways that you benefited kind of by proxy, but not directly, that might be okay as long as you're paying it forward to the American public. But transparency is huge. And then also restriction. Like if we've just kind of trusted historically that presidents just wouldn't do that. And now it's like, well, we're seeing in real time what it looks like when someone challenges that. So now there's more of a demand and a need to actually put it in writing and make it very obvious what we do when they break these rules, because the rules are in place, but we're right in this weird spot of, well, how do we actually enforce them on someone who doesn't want to listen? And so Congress and everyone in government needs to figure out how to use the checks and balances that we have in place for good, instead of it being a roadblock that we have to get shit passed through all these different places. How do we use it to actually for its original purpose, which is to limit consolidated power in one area? That's
Right.
why we have all of these different areas of government, and he doesn't respect them. So why are y'all, as members of the other parts of the government, not trying to fucking challenge him and say, yo, don't forget that we're a part of this shit? You know?
Even with Democrats not having a majority, you can still raise hell and
Yeah,
just let people know that you're
to
not
be
tolerant of it.
concerned about this, because
Yeah.
there's going to be times when they probably disagree with him. Even the most crooked Republicans, there might be one policy or one bill that comes through that they're not going to agree with him on.
Mhm.
Well, if you've given him all the power and you've made it clear that he has to face zero repercussions for what he does, then you're also going to eventually be impacted by that. And why are you sitting in a position that could restrict his unfettered access to everything, and you're not using it to do that very thing?
Because they want the power too. And before we get out of here, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this. White people were so afraid when Barack Obama got in office that he would look and behave the way Trump is behaving. In essence,
Yes.
y'all wanted to
Yes.
see, y'all thought that when Barack Obama got in office that he would be the first nigger in office, when really it turned out to be the first nigger in office is Trump. And I don't mean that in the nice way. Please follow us, ladies and gentlemen. We are trying to get the Clairemont Show to our first 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're at 4,000 right now. Get us to 20,000. Follow us on TikTok. We're trying to get to our first 10,000 on TikTok. We're only at like maybe 2 subscribers there. All the links are in description. And until that next sexy as hell Clairemont show video, we're out.